right, hello everyone. My name is Katie Kosis. I'm the Director of Financial Aid here at Niagara. I'm also a very proud alum. I know I've seen many of you before, either open houses or on the Ridge Days, but welcome back and welcome to NU. Also presenting today will be Marty Howell. She's our Director of Student Accounts, and Susan Barber, who is our loan coordinator here at NU. I'm going to go over kind of the financial aid process starting after you filed the FAFSA form. So if you haven't filed the FAFSA form already, it's okay, you still have plenty of time, but just know that it's for U.S. citizens, but just know that you should do it as soon as possible so that we can get a financial aid package put together for your student. But I'm going to pretty much act as if you've already done that and you've received the award letter. This is just a picture of us in our office. We are a one-stop shop, which means we are student accounts, records, and financial aid all in one building. So if you or your student needs anything, you can go right there. This is most of our staff. We typically wear purple, but not always. Our hours of operation, we are in summer hours right now, which means that Monday through Thursday we are open from 8:30 to 4:30, and then Fridays are only open till noon. Starting mid-August, we go back to our normal hours of Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And all of our contact information is in the PowerPoint and the packet we handed out, but our phone numbers, our fax numbers, email, and as well as our websites are all on there if you need anything at any time. So going over with the award letter, this is something that the student would have received after the FAFSA had been filed in the financial aid packet. It would have detailed, it would have a paper copy mailed to you. It would have detailed the academic year, which was 17-18, whether or not they are an incoming or, well, they're all incoming, whether it's a resident student or a commuter student. And then it would have listed all of their awards. So typically the order the awards go in are that list their merit scholarship first, if they were awarded one, state grants and federal grants, which like Pell or TAP, then Monteagle grants, which are from the university, and then it would go into either work study or loans, depending on what they were awarded. So just to know that's the order. It totals it up, and then please note at the very bottom it does say that the student does need to accept or reject all of their aid, and they need to do that by logging into WebAdvisor under the financial aid checklist. All of the scholarships are already in an accepted status. It's really just the work study or loans that they need to accept or reject. And this is an image of the WebAdvisor screen where the students would go using their Purple Pass credentials. They would, under the financial aid, there's only two options: the financial aid application, which is for returning students. They don't have to worry about that until next year, and then the financial aid checklist, and that's where they will click into. And once there, it will bring them to our self-service portal. What that means is that it lists everything that they have, whether it is asking for the required completed documents, it will list their awards, it will show them the shopping sheet, their award letter, and just the overall homepage. So this is the place to go if they have any questions on financial aid. The My Awards section that I was talking about, all the grants and scholarships are already accepted, except for the TAP award. Please note that it will stay in an estimated status until school starts, so don't worry about that. But then down below is where they will need to accept or reject their loans or work study, depending on what they were packaged with. They can also check to see what required documents they might still have outstanding. If it's a green check and says received, you're all set. You don't need to owe anything else. But if it's incomplete and it's a little yellow box or bullet, then you do need to complete something else. If it's an actual document that we need, we will have the attached link to it, so you can click on it and it will actually download, and you can just print it out, fill it out, and give it back to us. But this is also where they will check any of those outstanding financial aid documents. The things we typically are looking for missing information are due to the verification process. About 30% of our students do get selected for verification by the federal government. It is a random process, although I was selected every single year that I went here, so who knows how random it is, but it is something that we do have to then follow up with the parents and students. We need additional documentation. The most common one, of course, is the verification worksheet, which will either in your financial aid packet originally, or you can get it online. We also would request typically the 2015 student or parent W-2 forms if you worked, as well as 2015 federal tax transcripts for both student and parent. Please note this is not the 1040. We cannot accept the 1040s as verification documentation. It has to be the tax transcripts, which you would request from the IRS. And we do have a how-to guide on how to do that. Easiest way is for irs.gov and request them online. You'll get them in the mail within about 5 to 7 days. Just send us a copy of those. You can do it by phone, might take a little bit longer. But again, they need to do the tax transcripts directly from the IRS. It is free of charge, but it just takes a little bit of time. For New York State residents who are attending a New York State school such as Niagara and your income is below $80,000 for for TAP. You might be eligible, or the student I should say. So please make sure that our school code is listed on the application for TAP. You can go to hesc.ny.gov. And the reason I say this is because on the FAFSA form, when you're filling it out, you can list up to 10 schools. But what New York State does is they actually take the first school that's listed on the FAFSA form, and that's where the money is going to. So if you listed N-TRIP or some other school on there and not Niagara, it's going to that other school. So make sure our school code, which is 0560, is listed on the HESC application. You can check that online. If you're having issues with it, please let us know. We can check for you. We can also change it for you in our system as well, but make sure that that school code is on there. Award requirements. I do like to mention additional award requirements for some of the funds that we have, only because it's very important for students to graduate on time in that 4-year period or earlier. My sister graduated in 3, so it's 4 or less is definitely the best route to go. One, you're saving a lot of money by not paying for the extra year or 2. You're earning that much more in income, the student is, but also because of the requirements on many of these programs. The Pell Grant, there's a 12-semester limit, which does equal to be 6 years, 600%. Think of it as 100% each year. So it is something to think about. The direct loans, whether it's subsidized or unsubsidized, have a 150% rule. What that means, it's a time and a half of the program. 4-year program, they have 6 years as well. So those you have a couple more years on that. However, the TAP program is the most stringent, and that's only 8 semesters. You get those 4 years, and then if you continue on and you still have not yet graduated, you do not get any more TAP grants. So make sure that the student is completing at least 15 credits per semester, 12 to 15. We always suggest 15 so they have a little extra cushion and so that they can graduate on time. The TAP grant also has GPA requirements, which also leads into our satisfactory academic progress requirements for all of our remaining aid programs. There is a sliding scale. You can view it in the catalog online. But what I'd like to say is that as long as the student is maintaining a 2.0, then they're okay. So as long as they have that 2.0, then there's nothing to worry about for losing any of their eligibility requirements. Some other financial concerns I want to just touch on. Book money. Please make sure that your students come prepared with enough money for books to purchase them in the fall, which is really just a month and a half away or so. The book money, it is budgeted into their overall cost of attendance, but it's not something that is directly charged to their account, so it is something they have to think about on their own. We have our bookstore on campus, Barnes & Noble's. The bookstore rents books as well, but you can look online, eBay, half.com, Amazon. Chegg, I think, is one, C-H-E-G-G, we just learned about that. And also, apparently our bookstore, which I did not know this, does price match. So if you find something online that's cheaper, take that printout to the bookstore and they will price match for you. So once they register for classes tomorrow, they will know what books that they need. They can take those classes and look them up online or stop in the bookstore so you can get a head start on that. Emergency loan. This is something our office provides for students. We know some things come up, whether they need another book in emergency or they need to buy a plane ticket home or something. We offer up to $200 that the student can take out on an emergency loan status. They have 45 days to pay that back, but it is something, it's directly through the university that they can take advantage of. Future communications, the first financial aid package that went out was a mailed product. Paper product. Everything else, whether it's a revision, whether it's missing information emails or deadline information, will be through emails directly to the student to their MyNU email address. Please make sure that they are checking this on a regular basis, that they either link it up to their other normal email account or that they're forwarding you the information so that you're also aware of the requirements and when everything is due by. But everything will be through email, so please make sure that they are checking it. Situation changes, we know things happen, of course, whether it is a reduction in income, a loss of a job, a divorce, these things happen. So if something does occur within the next, this academic year, please contact our office. The FAFSA form is based upon 2-year prior information from 2015, so of course things happen, things can change. So let our office know, we will work with you. There's a form we can send you to fill out, provide the documentation, send that back to us so we can see if there's any additional financial aid that we would be able to provide. And we do try our best to help with that, but it is something that you need to provide additional documentation for. And the renewal FAFSA. It is a yearly process. I know everyone might have been really happy that they did it. Woo, we're done. But unfortunately, it is something you have to do every year, starting October 1st of this upcoming year. So in just a few short months, unfortunately, it's going by way too quickly. You can actually fill out the 18-19 FAFSA for the student's sophomore year, even though they've just started their freshman year. Please don't feel like you have to do it as soon as it opens on October 1st. To be honest, our office will not be looking at returning packages until very early spring because we are working on the new incoming class coming in. So know that it's open. Make sure, I would hope that you can get it in by maybe the first of the year, but please don't feel like you have to do it on October 1st. Just know that it is available.
Hello, everybody. It's wonderful to see you all out there. I appreciate you taking the time to come and see us today. You'll probably hear a lot about FERPA, and that is privacy, student privacy rights. And if you called my office and asked how much you owed this month and your student didn't give us permission to tell you, I can't even let you know how much you owe. So if it were me, I would say either give me permission or you can pay the bill. So that would get their attention, I'm sure. And as Katie mentioned, from now on, all communications will go to their MyNU email account. So it's very important that they understand that anything that has to do with student accounts or financial aid, because they don't think any of that belongs to them, should come to you and forward it on so that you're aware of what's going on. The basic charges are block tuition, and that's anything from 12 to 18 credit hours. And that would be $15,250 per semester, or level tuition of $15,500 if you decided to do the level tuition form. And we do have some up front here if anybody wants to take advantage of that. What that does is it locks in your tuition for 8 consecutive semesters. So as other tuition goes up, that stays the same. It is an additional $250 per semester the first year, basically the same the second year, and then the third and fourth is when you actually see the savings. The student services fee is $725 per semester for all full-time undergraduate students, and the full-time registration fee is $200. It's a one-time fee, and you should only have that once. The double room and board, and that includes the meals, is $6,475 per semester. And there's a one-time $100 damage deposit that would be refunded once a student leaves housing for good. There are some miscellaneous charges. The overload tuition charges, anything over 18 credit hours is $1,020 per credit. So if the student is taking an overload, you may want to have them ask if there's another semester that might work better so that they can work it into a different semester. Also, there are some lab fees for theater, biology, chemistry, and physics, and the nursing skills fee for the 4-year nursing students. That $135 is to help them with study skills in order so they can pass the boards when they graduate. And some education courses also have New York State certification exam charges. So when they go to take the exam, the New York State exam, they go to education, they get a voucher, and that covers the actual certification exam for them. Nursing and business majors also have a $500 per semester charge for the program fee. Single room charges are an additional $475 or $600 depending on the layout of the room. And the parking decals are $90 per year for residents and $80 per year for commuters. Some fees that you would see on the bill that I don't put on there, I just send it out. They're put on there by other offices, and that could be parking fines, library fines, health service charges, residence hall restoration fees, and judicial fines. So I do, however, even though I can't take off those, on the back of the bill, I give you all those phone numbers. So you can call them and find out what the student has to do to get those either mitigated or taken off. Now the health service charges, if you see that on the student's account, that's because we have given them a prescription. We buy that prescription medication in bulk and we pass along that savings to you. We don't make a dime on it. But because a student, when they get a prescription, is usually pretty sick, we don't send them on to a drugstore so that they have to go out and go to a drugstore and get the prescription themselves. We give it to them and we charge it to their account. If you have an FSA account and you want to turn it in, you would call health services and they can give you the information so you can turn that in and get reimbursed. The level tuition plan contract, that is something that the student signs. You would only sign it if the student is under 18, and that guarantees that tuition for 8 consecutive semesters. So $15,500 per semester. So it's up to you if you decided that you wanted to do that. The board information, it all depends on how your student eats. If they don't get up early and have breakfast, you may want to have fewer meals over in the dining commons, or if they want to eat late, they might want more in the Gallagher Center. So it's all up to them. They all cost the same amount, so it's just a matter of what they prefer. They have the first 2 weeks of school to change their mind, and then if they don't like it the next semester, they can choose something different. It's all a matter of their preference. And this is the first bill. So you will notice that there's the date, there's the term, the description, charges are in this column, credits are in this column, and here's the balance. Down here is pending financial aid. Even though it's too early for some things to be applied to their account, or maybe they don't have all the paperwork done, I'm still going to subtract it as long as they haven't rejected that aid. So, and then we come up with an amount due. And the amount due is always due on the 10th of every month. I bill around the 17th, so I do give you about a 7-day grace period. And one thing that you would not see on a bill is, as pending financial aid, is an outside private scholarship. Because you might have to give them a copy of first semester grades, a copy of the first semester class schedule, a copy of the first bill. There's so many different things that you might have to send in. I really can't put that up as pending financial aid. However, on the back of the bill, that I'll show you in a minute, you can list those outside private scholarships, and I will take that into account. Also, we have sent out work-study deferment forms in June for anybody who received financial aid in their package. Work-study in their package. And if your student decided that they wanted to do work-study and put some of that on their account, I would give them an instant deferment once they turn that in. That's essentially, I offer them a loan and they work that off out over the semester. So once a month, I would send you a statement showing what the deferment started out as, and then every 2 weeks, that's directly deposited onto their deferment to pay that off. And those are yellow, just so you know to look for that. A work-study deferment statement would be yellow. If anybody here is Canadian, we are offering a percentage off on tuition minus aid. So talk to me afterwards if anybody wants to find out how that works. And this is the back of the bill. And you'll see here, expecting additional loans or financial aid. If you haven't applied for loans, or if you had outside private scholarships, just put that in there and then send that back to me and I'll make notes on the account. And down at the bottom here are the phone numbers that I talked about, so you can call the different offices. Also, box number 3 up here, if you click that, you check that box and send it back. By federal regulations, I still must have that work-study deferment form with an original signature, the student's signature, in order to be able to put up the work-study deferment. We do have 2 different types of payment plans. One has a down payment and 4 monthly payments, so essentially 5 payments per semester. Each of these payment plans costs $25 a semester. There's no interest or penalties as long as payments are made on time. So you can choose which one you want. The payment plan A starts August 10th, and payment plan B, which has 4 monthly payments, starts September 10th. And you do have to apply each semester. So this is the payment plan bill. It's the very same bill as the other one, but I've added the $25. And down here, the 5 payment plan is $1,775.75, and the 4-payment plan is $2219.69. So it all depends on what works best for you. You divide it by 5 or you divide it by 4. And this is the October bill. Anytime that you have a charge, it's always going to be the first day of the semester, no matter when that charge goes up. So even in October, the parking decal just gets put on and it's still going to say $828. You'll notice that with health service charges and stuff like that. It's just how the system works. It's always the first day of the semester. And down here at the bottom is the yellow. Those are things where they're still not actual credits. So maybe you've actually gone out and you put the 0560 on the TAP application, but maybe you didn't really apply for it. So we give you an estimate of what we think you're going to get, but you have to actually apply for it. So that's really important. When you go out there, you should see an award. Also, the Perkins loan. You have to have a promissory note and entrance counseling for Perkins as well as the direct loans. So sometimes a student will think that they've already done it, but it's actually a separate loan, so they have to do 2 different ones. If they have a problem with that, they can always come in and see us. Also in October, there's only one billing address, and students get so excited getting ready to register in November, and they go out and they change their address to their post office box. And your payment plan bill goes right to their post office box. So if you don't get a bill in October and you're on the payment plan, it's probably sitting there, and since that doesn't have anything to do with students, they may not let you know. So make sure if they change their address that they also come in and give us a separate AR account address, so the bill always goes to you. This is our website. Anyone can use this make a payment button here. They just have to know the student's first name, last name, date of birth, and their student number to make a payment. We accept online checks, credit cards. There's no additional charge for credit cards, so you can use that if you want. I have been working with American Student Assistance for over 20 years. And when we had state guarantee agencies, because each state had their own guarantee agencies for federal student loans, I was always amazed at how Massachusetts students were so informed about financial literacy and about loans and loan repayment. And when the federal government decided to take over all of the student loans, and now they're guaranteed through the federal government, all the state guarantee agencies had to figure out something to do. And American Student Assistance, who is the parent company of SALT, decided that that's what they were going to do. And we have partnered with them through student government, and it's free for all NU students, families, and staff. And you can join them. That's what they do. They do financial literacy and loan repayment help. So it is really a wonderful thing to be part of and for students to join. And this is a Perkins promissory note and entrance counseling. Sounds like a scam at signmyloan.com, but I promise you it's real. So if you see that, the student has to create an online account, and they use their 7-digit student number preceded by the S at mail.niagara.edu. It's the only email that will work to set up their account. So if they have a problem, have them call us, come in. We'd be happy to help them with that. The Perkins loan is subsidized by the federal government. It has 5% interest rate, and it has a 9-month grace period. So it is a great loan to have if you get awarded that. We do have 3 different programs that are hooked to a student's ID card. They use it just like a debit card. So there's Bookstore funds, you save the 5%. Gallagher Gold funds, you save the tax. And campus funds, you also save the 5% in the Bookstore. The Gallagher Gold funds, because you save the tax at the end of the academic year, that money goes back to the New York State. So at the end of the academic year, make sure you use it or you lose it. So at the end of the year, don't put a whole bunch on there if they want something, or put it in campus funds, because that rolls over from semester to semester. So Bookstore campus funds rolls over. At the end of the academic year, Gallagher Gold is gone. Also penalties. If I don't receive payment when it's supposed to be there, even with the 7 days, starting in September, I do start charging a 2% late fee. So if there's a problem, if you need a few extra days, you need a couple weeks, you need something, you call me and let me know. It is really important that the earlier we figure out options, the better it goes for everybody. And registration for future semesters would be held if the payments weren't current or it wasn't paid. And I start sending out hold emails around the end of September and February. And what that does is it gives the student 6 weeks or so to get everything straightened out or completed that they need to do in order to be able to register. We want to make sure that all of their aid goes on their account and that the payments are current. So we can't let them register until all of that is finished. So if they ever have a problem, they can come in and see us and we'd be happy to explain it. They're only going to see the holds that refer to them, not all the holds that are possible. And also no transcript or official documents would be released until the account is paid in full. But I am more than willing to sit down and help anyone. I just have to know what we're dealing with and give you options, ways that we can work through it. I have parents who make payments every 2 weeks. I have parents who pay every week. It depends on how they get paid. So we can work on that. We can help you out, but you just have to call me to let me know.
Direct loans. The loans that the students receive from the federal government are called direct loans because they come directly from the government, and that is who they're going to be paying back when they're done with school. The government has enlisted the help of about 15 outside companies to help them service the different areas in the country, and you will receive documentation from a company you probably never heard of. But if you doubt their legitimacy, give us a call. But typically for Niagara University, there's Sallie Mae, Nelnet, and FIA. Those are the 3 large servicers for us. Now there are 2 types of direct loans. One is subsidized and one is unsubsidized. Subsidized means that the government's going to pay the interest on that loan while the student's in school. That's the more desirable of the 2 loans. The unsubsidized, also known as unsub, the student has to pay the interest while they're in school. If they choose not to, then the interest will just capitalize and roll back into the principal, and ultimately they're going to start paying interest on interest. So if you are in a position to make payments on the loans while they're in school, such as the interest only, I would recommend doing so. Repayment on the loans begins typically 6 months after they graduate, or they drop below 6 credit hours, or they leave school. Now, just to again repeat what Marty was talking about with SALT, SALT is an outside company that we've enlisted to help our students become more savvy, more financially savvy, and it's very important with this economy, the way it is so volatile. And SALT's going to help them, give them interactive tools so they can get money and be money savvy, manage their student loans when it comes time to pay them back, or consolidating their loans. There's also expert counselors that will help them with any advice they might need, and also scholarships, internships, and jobs, and also just to build some smart financial habits. Again, just to repeat, it's free for students and their families, and also for the university. On the bottom of this page, you'll see the chart for the different loans. The freshmen are offered $3,500 plus $2,000, and just for filling out the FAFSA. The $3,500 could be either subsidized or unsubsidized. The $2,000 will always be unsubsidized. The $3,500 is going to be need-based, so depending on the student's financial need will determine whether it's subsidized or unsubsidized. And you'll notice that as they continue through school, it will increase. Sophomores get $4,500, juniors and seniors $5,500. The $2,000 will always remain the same. Now, occasionally, your son or daughter might come in with some AP credits. If that's the case, they may start their freshman year here as a second semester freshman because they have so many AP credits, and then they'll transition to the sophomore level in January and get an extra $1,000 from the government. But we will notify them just to let them know. But if you at any time you have any questions about that, please call. Now, if a parent is denied a Parent Plus loan, the government will allow us to give the students an additional $4,000 in unsubsidized loan money, and that repeats itself again for sophomore, junior, and senior year. The junior and senior year, they get an additional $5,000, however, but that's only if the parents apply for a Parent Plus loan and they are denied, and that additional money will always be unsubsidized. Now, for direct loans, if your son or daughter accepts any portion of the loans offered to them for subsidized or unsubsidized, they have some homework to do. They have to do entrance counseling and a master promissory note. The entrance counseling is an online tutorial. It takes about 30 minutes of uninterrupted time, and it wants to make sure that they understand they're borrowing loans and they have to pay them back. And the master promissory note is the legal document that actually gives the government the authorization to send their loan money to the school. And without either one of these or both of them, then the loan money will never make it to the school. And that's the complaint I hear most often around the beginning of October. Where's my loan money? It's not here. I'm waiting for a refund. I need that money to live on or to get this or to get that. But it's because one of these wasn't done or both of them wasn't done. I do send out the emails on a weekly basis, one for entrance counseling and one for the master promissory notes. You probably already received them from me. But I will become their very best friend if they don't do that. All right? They're both done on the same website, studentloans.gov, and the good news is they're both good for 10 years, so hopefully they should never have to do them again. And again, the money will not be credited to the students' accounts if they do not do these requirements. But many parents want to help their son or daughter do these. They actually want to do it for them. I recommend not doing that. If you want to sit with them while they're doing it, that's fine, but do not do it for them. It's eye-opening. And it talks about the consequences of not paying your student loans, about good credit, consequences of default. It's very, very important that they do this on their own. But again, if you want to sit with them, that would be great because sometimes they can have questions or they're confused. This is the website for studentloans.gov, and where the student will log in to do the master prom note and entrance counseling. This is also the same website that the parent will use to apply for a Parent Plus loan, which I'll go over shortly. So again, it's parent borrowers, students for professional and graduate level studies, and also for the freshmen, for first-time freshmen. Now the question I receive most often from parents is, okay, this is how much it's going to cost me, this is how much you're giving me, but it's not enough. I need more. There's a gap between the two. And how can I cover that? So there are two very popular ways that parents use to cover that. One is the Parent Plus loan, and the other one is a private alternative loan. And the Parent Plus loan I'll review first. That is taken out by the parent for the student. It is in the parent's name, and it's a fixed interest rate. What I like about the Parent Plus loan is that there's no income or employment requirement. So if a parent happens to have lost their job, they can still get this loan. And it's fixed at a 7% interest rate, and the cost of the amount of the loan is determined by the cost of attendance. So when you're online applying for a Parent Plus loan, you can either choose a specific amount or you can choose the maximum is allowed by school. If it's the maximum, we'll calculate how much you need. And if it's the specific amount, we'll just put down the amount you requested. But you need to take into consideration that they're going to charge you a 4.276% fee just to take out the loan and send the money to the school. So for example, if you need $10,000 after all the financial aid is applied, you're going to divide that in half for fall, half for spring. And you need to add 4.276% to the amount that you're borrowing. Otherwise, you're going to end up short. It's a question I get quite often from parents. I'll have a panicky mother or father calling me saying, but I borrowed exactly what I needed. Why am I short? It's because they didn't include the fee. So in other words, a $10,000 loan, they're going to take $427.60 right off the top. So you need to add that back into the loan. Now the loans, typically you apply once for fall, once that covers fall and spring, and you need to apply every year. And as I mentioned earlier, if the parent is denied the Parent Plus loan, then the government will allow us to give the student that additional $4,000 unsubsidized loan money for their freshman year. And occasionally we have parents, one has good credit and one has bad credit. The one with the bad credit will apply for the Plus loan and get an extra $4,000 And the one with the good credit would have maybe co-sign a private loan, which I'll get to shortly. So you have to maximize on your situation. Again, no employment requirement and no income requirement. So if you're worried about your debt to income ratio, it's not a factor. Your employer, not a factor. It's from the federal government, just like your son or daughter's loans, and they just want to make sure that, that they're taken care of. Now, again, what I like about the PLUS loan is that there's built-in life and disability insurance on it. So the loan can be forgiven in full in the event of a permanent disability of the borrower or the death of the borrower or the student. So I have some parents who might be putting their last child through college, and they want to make sure that they're going to be taken care of. So if something were to happen to them, then the PLUS loan is forgiven. Now, to apply for a PLUS loan, you'll find the instructions in here, and you'll find them also on page 3 in detail. How to apply for the PLUS loan, the benefits. If for some reason you're denied a PLUS loan but you feel you should have been approved, there is an appeal process you can go through with the federal government. So occasionally somebody might have excellent credit with like one derogatory item that is picked up during the application process, but you can easily appeal this with the Department of Education. And it takes about 10 days to appeal, and you will hopefully then be approved for the PLUS loan. So again, how to apply for the PLUS loan, go online, same website as the students, and you request the Parent PLUS loan. Do not request the Graduate PLUS loan. That's for graduate students. You want the Parent PLUS loan. And if you're denied, then we can give the additional unsubsidized loan from the federal government, and we suggest you apply once for the entire year and then just be done with it. What's nice too about the PLUS loan, let's say you apply for X amount of dollars and you realize you need more, but you didn't borrow enough. You give me the authorization to increase that loan for you, and I can do that. You don't have to go through that application process all over again. And the parent who did not apply for the PLUS loan cannot make any changes to the loan, only the parent who applied for it. And under no circumstances is a student allowed to come in my office and say, could you please increase that loan? I need some extra money. Can't do that. So it's only the parent who applied for the Parent PLUS loan. Now, the private alternative loan is the other loan that is used commonly to fill that gap. And this is our preferred lender list. It's in alphabetical order. It's not in any order of preference. And at the bottom of the screen, you'll see a website for elmselect.com. Wonderful website. If you go in there and search out Niagara University, you can compare up to 3 of these lenders side by side. And you can see the perks that are offered by one that may not be offered by another, or they might offer you a reduction in interest rate, a reduction in principal, possibly maybe make the last 3 payments on the loan for you. So these are the preferred lenders for Niagara University. Most of them offer co-signer release options, which is also another nice perk. The loan's in the student's name. It's based on income, credit, and employment. I don't know any freshman that has a sufficient credit history at that point, so somebody has to co-sign for them. But what's nice about the income or the co-signer release option is that after the student graduates from school, they make so many consecutive on-time payments, then they can apply to have the loan in their name only and have the co-signer removed from the loan. So you are not locked into it forever. So if you take a look at the white sheet that's in your purple handout, it's our preferred lender list in more detail, and each one, with the exception of Discover, offers a co-signer release option. Some of them are 12 months, 24 months, 36, 48 months. I would recommend waiting at least 2 years of consecutive on-time payments before the student applies to have the loan in their name only. So basically what they're doing is refinancing it in their name. And they've already begun to establish a credit history, which is wonderful. Just to show you what it looks like to compare lenders side by side, here we're looking at Wells Fargo's fixed rate loan and PNC's variable rate loan. The variable rate's going to give you a lower interest rate, but it's variable. We don't know what your risk tolerance is. Some people, like me, I don't like surprises. Give me the fixed interest rate and I'm fine. This way it's going to remain the same. I can budget accordingly, but if it's a variable rate, it could change. And depending on your interest rate or your credit score will determine what the interest rate is going to be. So in this case, Wells Fargo is offering them 6.99 to 12.29 for a fixed rate loan, and PNC is offering a variable rate loan at 3.43 to 10.45. subject to change depending on the economy, so we don't know what's going to happen. So again, some parents will do a combination of both loans, private and Parent Plus loan. Let's say you're already paying high school tuition, or you just finished paying high school tuition, and it's an X amount of dollars every month. Some parents will just carry over that payment to college, and they'll continue that payment plan, but then they'll maybe co-sign a loan for the student for the difference. So it allows them to assume some responsibility for their education. Just to recap the interest rates, the federal subsidized and unsubsidized are at 4.45%, and the Parent Plus loan is fixed at 7.0%.
A few things. For the level tuition plan contract, we do have copies up here in the front if you still would like to hand one in and didn't do so yet. We talked about SALT a couple of times. I just want to let you know that while you guys are in here, your students are actually in a session all about SALT, and we are encouraging them to sign up. We are hoping that if they send us their confirmation email that they signed up by tomorrow at like 5 p.m., we will enter them into a raffle for a $50 Barnes & Noble's gift card to help them with their books. So make sure that they do that. They're being asked to right now in the next session, but make sure you send a little reminder to them. And I unfortunately don't have a copy with me because someone from the last session stole mine, but in your parent packets and also in the student packets, there is a light pink checklist. It's double-sided, the light pink checklist. Please make sure to review this. It is in there somewhere. Oh, thank you. You have it. Can you hold it up? Thank you. All right, perfect. Please make sure you review this with your student to go over all the checklist items that they apply to you and make sure that they are done by the time the student arrives here in August, although several of the things I'm sure we will be emailing you about beforehand.